What's going on, everyone, and welcome into Plizont's podcast, filled to the brim with glitchy analysis and freezing cold takes so cold they're boiling hot. Today's episode, of course, is sponsored by Hungry Howie's Baton Rouge. Guys, check out their website. Online deals for takeout and delivery. Right now, they got a great carryout special. Get a large one-topping pizza for just $9.99. Today, we are talking the transfer portal and NIL in college football. We're talking the NBA MVP race and parity. And last but not least, we are going to give some excellent commentary as far as NFL awards go and whether or not one player deserves loyalty from his team. Let's get started. First up, the transfer portal is open, and on the first day, December 5th, 1,200 players entered the portal. Beautiful. I love to see this kind of action in college football and in college sports in general. It means that players are finally becoming a part of the business of college athletics. There are contracts for TV deals, ads, coaches, athletic directors, staff members, ticket salesmen, all of it. Why are players not a part of that? They're finally becoming a part of it, and that's what I love about the transfer portal. Let's keep that going. I think that the NCAA is going to eventually be forced to move to contractually paying their players. That's exactly what the goal is. These players are the lion's share of the reason that fans come out to watch football, basketball, soccer, lacrosse. Nobody really cares about the coaches or the athletic directors. They're there to see players. That's what sells TV deals, tickets, jerseys, memorabilia, you name it. The players. Get them paid. Next up, since the transfer portal has opened, there has been one player in specifically that I have really got my eye on. Cam Ward, the quarterback from Washington State. At the very beginning of the season, we were talking about Cam Ward as a potential Heisman candidate. Washington State started out 4-0, and he was torching teams like Wisconsin. Given all of that, Washington State did not finish the season the way that they wanted to, losing the Apple Cup to Washington in a nail-biter. But Cam Ward is the entire offense for that Washington Cougars team. I am a firm believer that wherever he goes, he is going to instantly impact that team's ability to win. And there's one place in particular that I would be looking for Cam Ward to go. The Auburn Tigers. Not that I have any source that can identify this as an actual place, but Cam Ward is exactly what the Auburn Tigers need. Just imagine if they had Cam Ward against Alabama, against Arkansas, against Mississippi State, against New Mexico State. Do we think Auburn's going to lose to New Mexico State with Cam Ward? I don't think so. In his most 5 important games, he had a 66% completion percentage while throwing for 10 touchdowns and just 3 interceptions and over 300 yards a game. That is an impact player, especially given the fact that Washington State ranked bottom 5 in all of the FBS in rushing yards per game. Every team knew Cam Ward is throwing the ball all day, every day, and for the most part, he really couldn't be stopped. It's just too bad that his defense over there with Washington State was pretty atrocious. So, Cam Ward, my most impactful transfer portal player on the market right now. He's going to a big school, that's for sure. Next up, what I want to talk about is as NIL evolves, there still needs to be regulations, not to protect schools or boosters, but to protect the players. We just saw a Texas A&M athlete who entered the portal who said he never received a dime of the NIL money that was promised to him. Now, whether or not that was completely true, I'm not sure. I can't source that, but we have to trust these players' words. They wouldn't be saying this for nothing. He might have gotten some NIL or none. We'll never really know that, but this has been a common theme throughout the entirety of athletics in every single division, conference, or league. We just saw Jaden Rashada, a former Florida recruit, went to Florida, did not get his promised NIL money, and then lost out completely on NIL, having to go to Arizona State, where he did well, but that's definitely not the place that he thought he would end up. It cost him a lot of emotional stress, I'm sure. He had to relocate almost instantly. The NIL has to get under control for the safety and protection of players. Has nothing to do with the protection of schools or boosters or just athletic department in general. Not a fan of that kind of regulation. I want to see these players be able to sign contracts and, one, be able to fulfill those contracts, and two, have those contracts honored by the sponsors. Let's move on. We're going to talk about some NBA stuff. First up, the NBA MVP race over the last few years has finally moved away from just talking about the number one, the number two seed in each of the conferences. And I can very much appreciate that. Obviously, the MVP conversation is completely directed by the media and voted on by the media. But I think one player that deserves a ton of credit for this breakthrough is Russell Westbrook. His days with the Thunder shortly after Kevin Durant left caused the NBA media to look back at what defines valuable. Is it winning? Sure, but is it all about winning? Absolutely not. Player impact estimate is a great NBA statistic in my opinion. It factors in every aspect of the game on the court. Shooting, rebounding, assisting, steals, blocks, shooting percentages, all of that factored into one statistic. How does one player's performance impact a team's overall success in every major statistical category? Now, over the last 17 MVPs, 14 of those have led the NBA in player impact estimate. I think that's a great job and a testament to the media in getting this right, especially over the last few years with Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid getting their MVPs. This year, right now, Jokic is in the lead for his third MVP. As a matter of fact, the Nuggets are, I believe, a top 3 seed, so they're winning. Jokic leads the league in player impact estimate by a long shot, actually. And look, let's just be honest. He's a top 3 player in the league and has been over the course of the last 5 years. I'm very impressed with his game. The real question I want to ask you is, where will Nikola Jokic end up in the all-time greatest players list? In my opinion, it's not about how many more championships he wins. It's not about how many more MVPs. It's how much longer he plays in the NBA. If he can put up these solid statistics and be in all of these conversations for the next 5 to 6 years, we'll see Jokic go down as at least a top 15 player. Sure, will he win all of the awards that I've been discussing? Quite possibly. But what's most important is that these numbers he's putting up, these absurd record-breaking numbers, if they continue to get put up for the next 5 to 6 years, he will have no doubt in my mind the consensus top 15 accolade that a lot of media members and former NBA players bestow on players like Stephen Curry and LeBron James today. All that being said, the parity in the NBA is a chef's kiss. Mwah. Gorgeous. I have loved every second of this NBA season. Adam Silver, I was not familiar with your game. That's kind of a joke. I have always thought that Adam Silver was the best commissioner in American sports. Very innovative, but over the last few years, it seems like he's just been rolling the dice a lot with, new innovative ideas like getting rid of the East-West All-Star stuff, trying to get young fan interactions. And with this in-season tournament, he really has hooked people. The in-season tournament has been an absolute grand slam success. Viewership for these games is up 26% for games at the same time last year. That is an insane increase for the inaugural in-season tournament. We have some awesome storylines going into the Final Four. We've got LeBron James defying Father Time Anthony Davis always seems to show up big in these games. Now, God bless him when he plays like the Portland Trail Blazers. I mean, my goodness gracious, it doesn't seem like he can ever get it together when it comes to playing to lower levels of competition. But hey, in a matchup versus the Phoenix Suns, he's going to drop 20 and 13. But let's move on. The Pelicans, Zion Williamson is playing healthy basketball. Brandon Ingram is finally becoming the number 2 that he was always destined to become. CJ McCollum is a great number 3 option. The Pelicans, in my opinion, have had and still have the most talented, well-built roster in the NBA. Herb Jones, now I'm rooting for the home team here as an Alabama fan, but he is one of the best defenders in the NBA. He shows it night in and night out. In my opinion, he is a young version of Draymond Green without the attitude and the suspension issues. I love what the Pelicans have been doing over the last few years. The number one hindrance to their success has been health. CJ McCollum having a collapsed lung, Zion obviously not being able to be in game shape a lot of the time due to injury, and just Brandon Ingram and his slender frame have obviously not all lined up together to make the Pelicans a healthy team. But they are right now, and that's why they're in the Final Four of the play-in tournament. On the East side, we've got Dame and Giannis, the next Shaq and Kobe. This dynamic duo has finally started to click. They put up 100 points with their starting lineup alone versus the Knicks on December the 6th. The Bucks have everything it takes to win an NBA championship, and they're finally getting it together. I am so enjoying watching the Giannis-Dame dynamic. It has grown tenfold since the beginning of the season, and now they're going to show the entire world here with the NBA in-season tournament. Last, but certainly not least, my favorite NBA team so far this season to watch, the Indiana Pacers. Tyrese Halliburton has this roster of slashing defenders playing out of their minds. Buddy Hield, Miles Turner, Bruce Brown, you name it, the Pacers are balling. It's nuts to watch what their offense can do. You thought the 7 seconds offense was fast back in 2007. This Pacers offense is lightning quick, so efficient, and they just know how to get the ball to the right player almost every single possession. Pacers offense is gorgeous, one of the best I've ever gotten to watch. I can't wait to see them in what they do in Las Vegas come Thursday. That's the in-season tournament. Could not be a better success so far for Adam Silver. Great job. Next, let's talk about the Orlando Magic. The Magic have been, for lack of a better phrase, a clown show over the last decade. Yeah, last decade, last 10 years, ever since Dwight Howard decided to leave, the Magic have just been a train wreck. But now, it seems like they've got it together. 14-6 on the season so far. Pretty big wins. They've beaten the Celtics. They won 9 games in a row. Very impressive stuff. But are they here to stay, and can we take them seriously? My opinion, probably not, but it's still to be determined. I need to see what they look like post-All-Star break, when basketball starts to get really, really serious. Now, they did okay in the in-season tournament. They were always competitive. They have a lot of young players. I love Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero. I like Cole Anthony and Jalen Suggs, but what they're really, really missing is 2 things, actually. They're missing 2 things. The Magic are missing a distributor and a rim protector. Now, Carter has been out, their rim protector, their center. He's been out for a few games and will probably miss a few more. Markelle Fultz, one of their best distributors, has missed a few games this season. But I really think that the Magic need a floor general. Right now, it's kind of the whoever offense. Everybody's averaging, 4, 5, 6 assists, 4, 5, 6 rebounds apiece. But that's not going to do it come playoff time. When the playoffs start, You have Jason Tatum, you have Giannis, you have Joel Embiid. Can you match up with that? In my opinion, probably not. That's why I just don't buy the Magic quite yet. I think their young stars need more time to develop. And given that time, they can still win a lot of games. But when it comes to playoff basketball, I need to see it to believe it. Last but certainly not least with the NBA coverage, let's talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, for a team that really hasn't shown me, especially in the playoffs, for some reason, I am a huge believer of the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think Anthony Edwards could become the face of the league in the next 2 to 3 years. Right now, I view him as an all-NBA, all-defensive type player. Cat is finally becoming the Robin that he was always meant to be. No disrespect to him. I think this is a huge compliment. He is one of the best complementary big men of the 21st century, and that is a huge deal when it comes to winning tough basketball games. The Timberwolves have the best record in the league right now and will probably continue to do so, and their resume is the most impressive out of anyone else in the league. They've beaten the Celtics, the Suns, the Warriors twice at Golden State. Extremely impressive stuff when it comes to a young team trying to gel. They got a lot of that opportunity last season, and now it's looking like it's clicking this year. The only thing that I would like to do, no hate to Rudy Gobert, but he just does not fit on this team come playoff time. He does not fit the modern mold of an NBA playoff big. He can't stretch the floor. He can rim protect like nobody's business. Multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year. But I have never seen it work out for the Jazz or now the Timberwolves in the playoffs with Rudy Gobert on the floor. And so after what now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 playoff appearances, I've seen enough tape. It's time for the Timberwolves to maybe consider moving on. I love Naz Reid. He is a great bench player, potential 6th Man of the Year candidate. Maybe he should be in the starting lineup. Take Rudy Gobert, trade him for some young wing assets to pair with Anthony Edwards, some 3-and-D guys maybe, and this Timberwolves team could be a lock for the conference finals. Now, last but certainly not least, in all of the things that we're talking about today, let's talk about the NFL. Now, I made a TikTok quite a while ago about loyalty in the NFL and why it is such an issue for players, fans, and front offices. From a player's perspective, it is a cold-blooded business. Owners, GMs, front offices do not care about players. From a front office perspective, it's all about value. Why would you pay players for doing less when paying them more? Let me rephrase that. As a front office, why would you pay players more than their quote-unquote worth? From a fan perspective, all you want is your team to keep the players that you have on your roster that you like. What you don't want to do as a fan is overpay players. And I completely understand that. When it comes down to it, every single perspective, it's about money. But with Mike Evans, a now 10-time 1,000-yard receiver, it's about loyalty to me. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers not made a mistake by not paying Mike Evans, but just showed what a actual cold-hearted organization looks like. Mike Evans has been with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers through thick and thin. With the Jameis Winston years, the Baker Mayfield year now, and with Tom Brady and winning a Super Bowl. He's done it all. And through all of that, he has had 1,000 yards receiving every single season. He almost has 100 touchdowns in his career, and he is potentially making his case for top 4 receiver of his generation. Guys like Antonio Brown and Julio Jones. Mike Evans is up there in that conversation, in my opinion, and there's not really anybody that's going to change my mind about that. If the Tampa Bay Buccaneers somehow don't sign him this offseason, I truly believe that some other team will immediately scoop him up. He still has 3, 4, maybe even 5 years of impactful football left in his career. The number one thing is he just needs to stay healthy. And so far this season, he's done exactly that. Now, with primetime NFL games. To me, they change people's minds. They've changed my mind many a times. And now my mind has completely changed about the Green Bay Packers. I don't know what to tell you. Jordan Love is a franchise quarterback, and Matt LaFleur is a good coach. This game versus Kansas City completely changed my mind about what the Packers have been doing over the last 3 years. Getting rid of Aaron Rodgers and making sure he was not on the team this year was one of the best ideas that the Packers organization has probably ever had. No disrespect to Aaron Rodgers. It was just his time to move on from the organization. He wanted out, and the Packers wanted out. It was a mutual parting of the ways. I like it. I'm a fan of what the Packers have been doing. The young wide receivers that they have are looking better and better. The Packers' offensive line is finally starting to get healthy and gel together. A.J. Dillon has been a perfect replacement for Aaron Jones, and this Packers defense has been pretty solid. Now, Jordan Love has been growing in his game this entire time that he sat on the bench and now getting starting reps. And versus Kansas City, it all came together. He outdueled Patrick Mahomes. Anytime a quarterback can outduel Patrick Mahomes, go band for band, I have to put respect on their name. Jordan Love, you obviously deserve the title of franchise quarterback. The Packers are going to be giving you at least 2 more seasons to become a top 10, maybe top 15 NFL quarterback. Now, last but not least, in all of what we're talking about today, I know I've said that a lot, but this last subject is not the least of what we've talked about today. I am advocating for a restructuring of an NFL award, the Defensive Player of the Year. Like the MVP award becoming a quarterback award, the Defensive Player of the Year award has become completely placated to pass rushers. And I'm sick of it. Let's talk about DaRon Bland, the Cowboys defensive back who has already broken the record for most pick sixes in a season. Bland not only is an absolute ball hawk, but he gets the lion's shares of opposing teams' targets. Why? I'm not quite sure. He also leads the league in interceptions as well as passes defended. Beautiful stats when it comes to what a corner is. Now, is Bland a Darrelle Revis lockdown DB? Probably not. But in my opinion, you have to reward his ability to make plays on the football. He deserves this award. He's one of the top defensive backs in the league, and his play has absolutely backed that up. And in my opinion, the pass rushers this season, outside of maybe Khalil Mack, who has not been getting some Defensive Player of the Year recognition, so to say, I don't really think that many pass rushers are deserving of this award. Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons, they haven't really shown, that they're way above the pack in terms of getting to the quarterback this season. Now, are they great pass rushers? Absolutely. But DaRon Bland has done the unthinkable. He has broken a record that nobody has touched for years and years now, and it's time to give him some love. I'm throwing him the Defensive Player of the Year award right now. He has, I think, 5 games left on the year. Hey, maybe some more pick sixes will come his way, and I'm almost guaranteeing that he's going to get at least 1 more interception. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is all for today. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Make sure that you hit that like button, leave us a comment, shoot us a DM, and definitely click that follow and subscribe button. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next time.